Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be learning how to airbrush. Does anyone know what airbrushing is? Yep. It is painting, and it's usually in the form of like a spray type of paint, right? Right. So you have a tool on your toolbox that's real similar to this. So I have a coloring book page here. To get this image, I went to the internet and I Googled some coloring book pages. So anything like this would be appropriate for this assignment. What you want to be careful of is like an image that has a lot of very, very small, tiny details. Yep, so like for your first couple ones, those aren't really the best choices. Like this might not be the best choice for your first airbrush assignment. It would be a cool one, but it would be a really complicated first try. All right, so what you're gonna do is you are going to select your paint bucket tool first, and you're gonna be coloring one of these images. So I'm first picking a color, and I'm gonna choose orange, and here's my paint bucket tool here, and I'm going to color this image in. Now, some of your computers may have this unchecked, and when you go to color it, this will happen. So make sure contingents is checked, so you color one shape at a time. And it looks like I have a break in my black line. So I'm coloring this shape right here, and it's feeding through this hole into that bottom. So before I go any further, I'm gonna touch this little black line up really quick. So I'm gonna grab a paintbrush that has a hard edge, small size, and I'm gonna choose color black real quick. And I'm gonna touch up that little line right there. Oh, I have to make sure this is 100 and 100. Oh, I saw it. Could you not see it from where you guys were sitting? That one was obvious. Sometimes they're not that obvious, and it can be a lot more challenging. But it looks like that one fixed it. All right. The next tool that we're going to use that you haven't used before is something called the magic wand. So the magic wand is located. It's the fourth tool down. It may look like a quick selection tool, but you want the magic wand one. When you select something with the magic wand, it makes that little checkered line all the way around the shape, right? If you click on the wrong shape, you just right click and you can deselect. And that's how you can click on and off this. So what this allows me to do is I have my paintbrush selected, and I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm talking about. So if I change the color of this, that selection tool will allow me only to work where I'm selected. So if I color over here, nothing happens. Only colors on the part that's selected, which is important for this because you're gonna make this object look three-dimensional. So whenever you see an object in real life that's three-dimensional, it has a dark spot on one side and a light spot on the other side. What are those called? What are the lights and darks called in an image? Shadows is one. What about the other one? Starts with the H. Highlight, correct. Highlight guy knows, good. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pick a color for the shadows. Now, on this side, I already started to shadow on the left side of this object. So when I shadow this object down here, I'm also gonna shadow on the left side. You wanna keep all your shadows on the same side, whether it be the left or the right you pick, just keep it the same. I'm gonna use a fluffy paintbrush with a feathered edge. And I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger. This shape's pretty big. So I want something that that I can blend in pretty well. That's probably good right there. I'm gonna look at 190. And now at this point, I wanna turn these down to around the 60 area. And I'm gonna pick like a dark orange color. I'm not gonna choose black for my shadow. I just wanna use like a dark orange. And that's a little dark. I might even go a little bit lower with these. Switch them down to 40 area. All right, so I'm shadowing this area. So I'm gonna shadow the bottom and this one side. Now, every little curve on a pumpkin has like a little shadow. So right here, there would be one. To do that line right there, I might wanna get like a little bit smaller brush and shadow this little line right there. The next shape will be right here. It gets a little bit of a shadow. And the bottom down here, I'm going to shadow too. And I'm also going to shadow the side of this curve right here. That's a little too dark. So I'm going to undo a couple times. A lot of times in this assignment, students will want to undo. Just make sure you undo right away. After your like 15, 20 clicks, you can no longer undo. All right, so that's my shadow side. I'm going to do the highlight side next. So I'm going to pick like a lighter orange, something in this neighborhood, and make this brush a little bit bigger for this side over here. And I'm going to highlight the top and the right, because I did bottom and left for shadow. And on this side of the curve, and over here, and over here. And a little bit more on top in this area. And now once you have it where you like it, you're going to deselect the image that you were working on. Now you want to make sure it's where you want it before you deselect, because once you try and reselect, it only selects one color, and now I have a whole range of colors in there. Even though I only use 3, there's like the colors in between that those also will not select. So I'm going to go back to my selection tool, right click, deselect, and then I can move on to my next shape. So if I try to reselect that, you can see how it only selects this weird part. Now let's say you make a mistake and you have to select, you've got to try and do this the best you can. If you hold shift, you can click on multiple areas and you can select more of this image. So it's getting most of it, but again, it takes a lot of time to do that, and it's not getting everything. There's a lot of little gaps in between. So like I said, make sure you have everything colored before you start. I want you to pick 5 different pages and make them look 3D. Does anyone have any questions before we begin? All right. Good talk, good chat. Happy Monday, people. Let's get to work.